So today's agenda, this is what we're going to go over. We're going to talk about J-1 visa and travel plans, housing, health insurance, immunizations, registration, orientation, and program benefits. Now, throughout this, throughout the time that we're talking, if anything comes up that you have a question on, please feel free to put it in the chat on the left window. We will try to answer it if it has to do with what we're talking about right then. If not, we'll save it to the end and then try to address whatever issue or question you have. So we're going to start with J-1 visa information. We are in the process of getting all of your J-1 visas together. We work with our international office at AU to get those out to you. And they're processing them right now. We will be mailing them to the international offices at your home university. The one exception is Victoria. You will not be getting one from us. But everybody else will be getting them at the international office at your home institution. We will hopefully be getting those out in the next 2 weeks or so. And that is what you'll use to apply for your J-1 visa at the embassy. You should be sure to follow the directions in your acceptance packet to apply for your J-1 visa in the United States. But make sure before you make your appointment or anything to pay the SEVIS fee. That's the fee associated with this system that you're going to be using for your visa. And very detailed instructions on how to do that will be in your acceptance packet. But we do recommend that you look at the website for the embassy that you'll be applying at right now to make sure you have an idea of what types of documents you'll need for that interview. The first day you'll be able to enter the United States on your J-1 visa is December 12th. You obviously don't have to arrive that early, and we'll talk about when you do have to arrive by. But you cannot enter on your J-1 visa before that date. And we're just gonna mute everybody here because I think, yeah, okay. And you have a 30-day grace period after the end of your DS 2019. For the students who are coming for just the spring semester, the end of your DS 2019 will be May 8th. So you have 30 days after May 8th to leave the United States. And for for calendar year students, that will be December 6th of next year. What that 30-day grace period is to finish up getting all your things in order or maybe traveling around the United States. The one thing you can't do during those 30 days is to leave the United States. If you leave the United States, you will not be allowed back in on your J-1 visa. So when you're purchasing your plane ticket, be sure that you don't have plans to leave and then come back during those 30 days. And then, as I was talking about, this is the DS 2019 that we are processing right now. You will be getting something that looks very similar to this. You'll need this for your interview. You'll also need this when you actually enter the United States. It's very, very, very important that you bring the original document with you to both the interview and into the United States. We've had students forget it in the past, and they've, in some cases, not been allowed in the United States. In some cases, they've had to do additional work to get a new version of the document. So just be sure you bring this once you have it. And again, it needs to be an original DS 2019. It cannot be a copy of the DS 2019. So for travel plans, as you're all making travel arrangements, if you plan to live on campus, the dorms will not open until Sunday, January 3rd at 3 p.m. If you're in the United States prior to this, which again, as we mentioned, you may be able to do, you won't be able to stay on campus before this time. That is when the dorms open, and there will not be any space for you before that. We suggest that you arrive on campus somewhere on January 4th or 5th to settle in before orientation. Mandatory orientation will start on January 6th, but we will have some additional things that you can do on January 5th, like shopping trips and dinner meetups. We really recommend that you attend these if you're in town, because it's really nice to get to know the people that will be on the program with you during that time. If you're planning on living off campus, you may wish to arrive a week or two early to get settled. Students often find that if they're not settled before orientation, it gets very busy during orientation, and they don't feel like they have enough time to do everything they want. So just consider that if you are going to live off campus. The last day for finals is May 3rd. What that means is if you're living in the dorms, you must leave the dorms by May 4th. Again, you'll have 30 days after the end of your DS 2019 to leave the United States, but if you're in the dorms, you have to leave by May 4th. Meal plans will begin on Sunday for dinner, which is, I believe, January 10th. So you should be prepared and budget for meals and groceries during orientation week, because a lot of things on campus will be closed and you won't be able to use your meal plans. I think that's good. Desiree?
All right, so now that we've talked about getting to campus, we're going to transition and talk a little bit about housing. So we will have this first slide here talking about on-campus housing, and then our next slide is going to be talking about off-campus housing. We've been getting a couple questions about both of these different options, so please listen carefully to the next few slides and then let us know if you have any questions. We're happy to talk about them here or to give you more details if you need them. So if you've received your acceptance email already, and it has talked about housing, you've been offered housing on campus, and you would like to accept on-campus housing, please note that you do need to complete a separate accommodation application. So you will be applying separately for on-campus housing. This application will be emailed to you as soon as we have received it from the Housing and Dining Office. We had originally expected to receive that about a week ago, but we haven't heard from them because they're having a few technical issues with the application. So that does not mean that if you haven't heard from us about housing that you aren't offered on-campus housing or that no space is available for you. It just means we don't have the application to give to you yet. So as soon as we have the application, we'll be sending it out to everyone in an email. That email will include the link, all of the information, and the steps and what you need to do to complete that separate application. So please be patient with us. As soon as we hear from them, as soon as we have the application, we will be giving it to you and making sure that you guys have all the necessary information in order to complete that application for on-campus housing. The application, once it's available, will require that you use your MyAU portal login. So this was something that you should have created after you were accepted and after you had paid your confirmation deposit. So make sure that you're creating that portal and you're working on that in the next week while we're still waiting for the application to be ready. As part of your acceptance email, if you've received it, you did have a frequently asked questions section as well as a checklist of things you need to be doing, and there's information on how to create your portal on both of those documents as well as in your application required reading. So please be working on that. If you have any questions about housing, about creating your portal, or once the application's out, if you're having any problems with the application, please email us first at abroad@au@american.edu, as Sarah already mentioned, and make sure that your name and AUID number are included in that email. All right, so once we have housing information, we will be able to forward that off to you. Yep. So if you have seen a deadline already in an email or in a reading or in your to-do list, it was originally stated as November 1st. That was when we were expecting to have the application already at this point. Since we do not have the application for you all to complete, it will not be a November 1st deadline. You will have more time to complete that. And we'll make sure that that's really clear and probably highlighted and underlined if we can in that email once we give you all the links. So don't be worried about the November 1st deadline, because obviously without the application you won't be able to complete it by that deadline. So we'll give you more information about that. All right. Can everyone just make sure that their videos and microphones are off so that we don't get any feedback from anyone's computers, because that makes it hard for other people to hear. Thank you. All right. For off-campus housing, so what are some of the benefits to off-campus housing? We wanted to take a minute just to kind of explain the on-campus versus off-campus housing. So at American University, it is a dry and smoke-free campus, and what that means is that no matter how old you are, so even if you're 21, which is the legal age to drink in the United States, you will not be allowed to have alcohol or any tobacco products on campus, in your dorms, in any of the common areas. So it's a completely dry campus, which means that you're not allowed to drink and you're not even allowed to have alcohol in your possession. So if you are over the age of 21, we do highly encourage you to consider off-campus housing, just because that has been a better fit for some of our older students in the past. And if you smoke and you want to be able to smoke in your room or even right outside of your room, then that would also be a good time to kind of consider off-campus housing, because that will not be allowed in any campus dorms or residence halls. There's also, other benefits to off-campus housing, just depending on what fits your needs. So if you have questions about that, you can let us know. But a lot of our students, about 50 this semester, have gone with off-campus housing, and they've all been pretty happy with their decisions. They're right around the AU campus, so they're kind of pretty close by, and they're just a good opportunity to kind of branch out from the dorm lifestyle, if that is not your preference for the semester. So as far as looking for off-campus housing options, in your application required readings, there is a document called Off-Campus Housing. This is something that Sarah's put together that has a lot of information about what students in the past have found to be helpful, different resources that are available to you, some information about places or ways to locate housing, and different things that you can look at. We hear most often from our students that they were successful in finding housing through Facebook, actually. So there are several Facebook groups through American University. They're listed here. So there's one called AU Housing, one called Housing, one called Housing and Sublet AU, and you can request to be a member of that group, and we can approve you to have access to it. And basically what this is just a way for you to either post what you're looking for, or for you to respond to a post that a roommate may have listed on there. So for example, you could get into the AU Housing Facebook, and you could say, "Hi, my name is Desiree. I'm coming to American from a university in France for the spring semester, and I'm really interested in living in my own room, or with 3 female roommates, or a 10-minute walk to campus." You can kind of list what your requirements are, or what you're looking for, what your budget is, and then other students will write back to you and say, we have a spot in this place, or we'd love to interview you for a spring room in our apartment. So that's where most students have had a lot of success, and then you can also read through and see what other people have posted and write to them and say that you're interested in renting their spot. Outside of Facebook, another really great resource that our students have found to be helpful is talking to Abroad at AU alumni. So if anyone from your university has traveled or has spent a semester at American University in the past, they may have a recommendation for a building or for an apartment or for, a house that they maybe lived in. So they are really great in terms of just asking them how they found their housing and how they liked it once they were here. And then finally, we will be adding you in the short future to our secret Facebook group that's for the 15-16 Abroad at AU group. And that's another great place to kind of ask about housing. There might be students who were here only for the fall who could switch with you and you could have their room for the spring, or maybe students who are here for the whole academic year that are looking for a new roommate for spring. So definitely take a look at what your resources are. Feel kind of as led as you want to see where you could go or where what kind of place you could live in. There's lots of different opportunities and different things you can do once you're in the area. All right. I don't see any questions, so we're just going to move on. The second thing I want to talk about outside of housing is your health insurance and your immunization form. All of the links and the forms I'm going to be talking about for this slide are available in your application, and they can be found in the required materials called health insurance and called a mandatory immunization form. So those two titles are really important, and make sure you're clicking on them in your application and following all of the instructions that are listed within those readings. As far as the health insurance goes, all students will be automatically enrolled in the American University Student Health Insurance Policy, and we strongly recommend that you do utilize this health insurance while you're in the United States. This insurance is updated every year to make sure that it's meeting the requirements for not only the United States for student policies, but also that it's meeting the requirements that the State Department and your J-1 visa has for you as an international student, which are even more specific than the requirements for a student here at AU. In addition to that, this insurance policy is something that people right on campus are familiar with, that they work with, and so all of your information is going to be kind of a little more readily available to you, and should you have an emergency, we know exactly what's going to be covered under that policy. We have had students in the past that have decided to waive this insurance, and as a result, once they have broken an arm or had some kind of health emergency, they've had to go to the hospital, and then they've been left with these really big bills or charges from a hospital here in Washington, D.C. Health insurance in general and healthcare policy in the United States, as you may have heard in the news at your home country, is very different here than it is a lot of other places, and so everyone needs to have some kind of coverage, and you just want to make sure that you're getting the best policy for you. If you do have an insurance policy, either through your home university or you've decided to buy a plan for yourself, it is possible to waive the AU insurance, and you'll want to do this by February 5th. With that said, you need to really carefully make sure that that insurance policy is going to meet all of the requirements for both the waiver for AU health insurance and for the J-1 requirements that you need to meet. So in your portal, it's listed what all of the requirements for a J-1 visa holder must have. So make sure that you're comparing that to your insurance, and then you can also online see what the AU health insurance policy requires you to have in order to be able to waive. So it's possible, but you just want to make sure you're really doing your research and you're purchasing the right plan that's going to cover all of those different things for you. All right, so moving on from insurance, the second thing in the sort of health category we want to talk about is your mandatory immunization form. That can be located directly in this reading that I talked about at the top. And this form is a legal requirement for Washington, D.C., so all students under the age of 26 must have these immunization shots in order to attend university in Washington. So this isn't just a list of things we're requiring you to do. All AU students have to do it, so you want to make sure that you're printing that list out as soon as possible, bringing it to your doctor to have completed and signed, and if you need any of the shots that are listed on there, make sure you're getting those because you won't be allowed to come and be a student here without turning in that form. The very, very front page of the immunization form does have all of the directions for filling it out and for submitting it. This form is something you're going to send directly to the AU Student Health Center. So Sarah and Ashley and I are not experts on health policy or health immunization, so obviously you could send us the form, but we wouldn't be able to do anything with it. So we ask that you please just go ahead and follow the directions on the front page and send that directly over to the health center, because they're the ones who are going to be keeping track of that and making sure that all of your information is filled out and on record for your different shots and requirements from that form. All right. So moving on from health policy, we're going to talk a little bit about registration.
So, first of all, with registration, you will be doing it by yourself, but we will help guide you through the process. In order to register, you must do a number of things. First, you have to submit your $500 confirmation deposit. You also have to submit a course clearance request form or course clearance form. That is in your application once you've been admitted. These should be, you should include 8 courses that you would like to have cleared, but you're welcome to take additional or get cleared for additional courses. We recommend that you really read through the course selection, wait list, and register for courses portion of your application. These are going to make it a lot clearer. And again, we'll also be sending this information out. Hold on just a second. Okay. So we will be sending this information or this slideshow out to help guide you through that too. So what happens when you submit your course clearance form is you are given, we will check it off first in your AU Abroad portal, Abroad at AU portal, and then either Desiree or I will go through each individual course that you've requested and selected and mark it off whether or not we feel that you're qualified to take that course. What that means is we will look, if the course has a prerequisite, we'll look to see on your official transcript if you've taken the prerequisite course. That means if there's more than one prerequisite, we will check if you've had all the prerequisites listed. And specific instructions on how to do this are given in your application readings as well as this presentation. One thing to note is that if you're taking a course this semester and you're using it as a prerequisite for one of the courses you wish to take next semester. For example, you want to take intermediate microeconomics. At AU, the prerequisite for that class is to have taken both macroeconomics and microeconomics. And so if you're currently taking the macroeconomics class, it's not going to show up on the official transcript that you applied with. What that means is you need to provide us some kind of documentation to show that you're currently enrolled in that course. You should also plan to bring an official transcript with you when you come in January so we know that you have actually passed that course. One thing also to note about course clearances, if you're interested in taking a language course that is not at the elementary 1 level, you will need to take a placement test. Where to find that placement test is in your application. If for some reason you submit in your course clearance request form a request to take a non-elementary 1 class, we will make sure you've already taken the test, and if you haven't, we will make you before we can clear you for the class. So when you actually do your registration, you must register for 12 credits. That is full-time status at AU. Even if you don't get into your top choices, we ask that you register for 12 credits. That will show that you're at the 12 credit level. Or I'm sorry, that you're at the international student full-time status level. And then if you drop or add classes, you'll need to stay at that 12 credits. Some students may be able to take more than 12 credits because some students may be able to take up to 17. If you're one of those students, we'll talk, or we will put it in your email when we clear you for the courses, whether or not you can take additional credits. When you're selecting courses, you should know the different course levels. So at the 100 and 200 level courses, these are introductory courses at AU. So that means you're getting a general idea about what that field of study is about. You'll learn general theories and very basic information about that field in those classes. The 300 and 400 level are typically more advanced coursework. So the professors in those classes will assume that you have those basic information already and the base knowledge for that field. The 500 level are quite advanced courses that are generally taken in the last year, and in some cases they're taken by graduate students as well. Many of these may be closed to Abroad at AU students, so we will not be able to clear you unless we have a discussion about certain prerequisites and things like that. Note that if you are even if you're a senior or in your last year at university, that and you've never taken let's say you're a chemistry major at your home institution, but you want to take an anthropology class at AU, that does not mean you should be taking 300 or 400 level.
Hello?
You should not be taking 300 or 400 level courses in anthropology just because you're a last year student. What that means is you haven't, this is your first introduction to the field, so you should think about taking the courses at the 100 and 200 level. You will not be able to register for any kind of restricted courses, and I'll talk about what those mean later in the next couple slides. You also can't register for internships. We'll talk more in depth at orientation whether or not you can do an internship, because you may be able to, but just know you're not going to be able to get credit at AU for an internship. You also aren't allowed to audit classes at AU and just sit in the classes. You actually have to be taking them for credit. So these are the course restrictions that you should know about already. So anything that says honors or mentorship, or school restrictions that say only open to students in, those are courses that you're only going to be able, that you won't be able to take at all. And as I mentioned earlier, you need to take the language placement test. The link is available in the course selection document. And again, we won't clear you for any courses without having any language courses above Elementary 1 if you haven't taken that course. School of Communication is our most difficult school to get into courses in. But you can see the specific course restrictions on our website listed here. There's a question about numbers of credits. When I say 12 credits, that is generally you take 12 credits and multiply by 2 to get the ECTS credits. So that would mean you need to take the equivalent of 24 ECTS credits. And again, depending on the school you're at, you may be able to take up to 30 ECTS credits. Other course restriction information is coming up. For the Kogod School of Business, there's individual courses that you can't register for, or that you need very specific course prerequisites for. I'm not going to go through all of these. I just want you to know that if you're thinking about taking a Kogod School of Business class, that you should definitely look at these course restrictions before you send in your course clearance form. In addition to that, the School of International Service has some restrictions. There's a couple classes you can't take in certain semesters, but if you're interested in taking any courses at the 300 level or above, you really should let us know by email. You can send an email to abroad@au@american.edu. Give us an explanation of how you feel you've met the prerequisite. We know that courses in the School of International Service may not relate directly to what you've taken at home, but we need to know that you have some kind of basic information about it. We really ask that you include any kind of course descriptions or syllabi or course outlines of the courses you've taken that you feel might meet those prerequisites.
Great. So now that Sarah has talked a little bit about what courses you can and cannot take, I'm going to talk you guys through our system that will help you plan your schedule by looking at the courses that are going to be available at AU next semester. And then once we look at the courses and you have decided what classes you would like to take, we will talk about how you go about registering for those classes. So I just want to let you guys know that this is a new system for us at AU. This is the first semester that we're using this new system for registration. So we are also working to learn the system. So if you guys have questions, we are going to be here and help you work through the registration process. But it is something that each individual student has to do for him or herself. Okay, so the first page you see here is how you are going to get to the list of courses offered for this semester. This is in your My AU portal. You will receive or have already received information about how to log into your portal in your acceptance email. So you're going to click on Academics, which is in the top left corner where that big red arrow is. When you click on Academics, that's going to take you to this long list of sites. And throughout your time at AU, you will probably use many of these links. But for today, we're going to use the Eagle Service link under personalized links on the left side. So once you click Eagle Service, it's going to take you to this site. And this is where you can start to begin to plan your semester or your courses for this semester. And the first thing that you're going to do is click on that button that says Student Planning that I have in the red circle. When you come to this screen, you see a couple of options. And we will get to those later, but the first thing that you want to do is just click on Course Catalog up at the top, which is going to tell us all the classes that are available. Okay, so this is going to be an expansive list. You'll see lots of options here for the subjects that you can pick from. When you are looking through, you might want to just kind of scroll through and see what options are available. We have lots of different subjects available at AU. So just for today, for demonstration, we are going to click on Anthropology. Once you open up Anthropology, you will be able to see what courses are offered in the spring. So we have here a course that is Anthropology 215, titled Sex, Gender, and Culture. This is a 3-credit class. So the first thing that you want to take a look at when you are looking at the courses available is what I have marked as number 1 on this screen. So this particular course has 2 options. That means that there are 2 different classes of this same course being offered, and you can pick one of them. When you look at the number in the circle, that will tell you which of the sections of this course you're looking at. So the first one is section 1, and the second one is section 2. You can see that in the red circles. The next thing you want to look at is the number of seats available for that class. This particular class has 40 seats, and all 40 seats are open, which means that you could sign up for this class if you were interested. Something that you should look at next between the two courses is the time that the class is being offered. So as you can see based on the arrow number 3, the first class is being offered on Mondays and Thursdays from 10:20 to 11:35, and the second section is being offered on the same days, Mondays and Thursdays, but at 2:35 to 3:50. Something that's important to note when you are planning your schedule is that at American University, if a course has 2 days listed, as you can see in number 3, Monday and Thursday at 2:35, you need to attend both of those sections. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're thinking about your schedule for the week, what times your courses are, and what other things that you plan to do during your week. So let's imagine that you have chosen to take the first section of this course. You would move over to where I have the big arrow with the number 4 on it and click Add Section to Schedule. Once you click that, it will take you back to the main screen, and now we're going to click on Plan and Schedule. When we click on Plan and Schedule, it takes us to a calendar that is going to help you visualize when your classes are. So as I mentioned, this anthropology class meets 2 times a week, and you can see that on the schedule here, that this class is meeting 2 times. Again, you have to attend both of those meetings. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen which course you've chosen, and at this point the course is yellow because you are not yet registered for it. This is just a plan for your courses. Something else to note from this page that will be helpful to you is what I have circled up at the top. This is going to tell you when and at which day and at what time you can register. This is actually my course plan, so I was able to register on the 26th. So your date and time will be different than mine. And once you have finished playing around with your schedule and your particular time has come for registration, if you are comfortable with the classes that you've taken and the times are all laid out correctly, you can click Register Now. The system will not let you register a particular class if it is conflicting with another class. So if you have 2 classes that have the same time, or the system will not let you register if there are not any available seats in the class. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. So I just wanted to show you what the schedule will look like, what your planning page will look like after you are able to register. So now, since I'm a graduate student, I've been able to register the courses that I was planning for. And as you can see, my courses have all turned green. So once they've turned green, that means that you can start registering. I'm seeing a question in the box about when registration starts. And the date is going to be?
I'm fairly certain that for all of you, it will be on November 16th. You should definitely check your own Eagle service to verify that. You'll probably have to press forward to get to the spring 2016 regular term to see the exact time and date. Even if you do have November 16th, that doesn't mean you'll all have the same time. So even if one of your friends from your same university has, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you might have 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock. So really pay attention to specific times. Another thing to note is the date and time listed will be the beginning point. It's not going to shut off for you after that point. So we still recommend trying to register as close to the beginning of that period, because courses are on a first come, first served basis. But you are not required to do it at that exact time. So if you're sleeping because you're in a different continent, in a different location, you don't need to wake up in the middle of the night to do it.
Okay. We will keep going. Desiree's going to talk a little bit about the waitlist, and then I will tell you how to sign up.
Great. So as Ashley mentioned, when you're on that screen listing all of the course sections and the times that the class is meeting, it's going to have the seats available in the class listed. So for the class that we were looking at, there was 40 seats available, but let's say that one of the classes you've chosen to take doesn't have any seats available on the day that you are registering. What you can do to get in that class is add yourself on to a wait list. So a wait list is the only way you can get into a class that is already full. Unfortunately, sending an email to us asking for us to please let you into the class, while we wish we had that kind of power, we do not. So all we can tell you at that point is that you need to put yourself on the wait list. And basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just a list of students who are waiting to be offered a spot into a closed course. The way that it works is you'll be signed up onto the list in order that you request it. So if there's 25 spots in the class and you're the 28th person who's requested it, that will make you the third person on the wait list. When a spot becomes available in that class, which means that one of the original 25 people has decided to take another course or to drop out of that class, for one reason or another, then their spot becomes available and it's offered to the first person on the list. Then if another person decides to not take that class, a spot goes to the next person on the list, and so on and so forth. So you'll basically move from 3 down to 2, down to 1, and then hopefully if 3 people from the original class decide not to take it, then you would be offered a spot in the class. You are only allowed to be on 3 wait lists at any time, and you can only be on a wait list for one section of the same class. So you want to really make sure that you're following your schedule closely, and if there are a few classes that will require you to be on a wait list, that you're choosing the ones you prefer the most to be put onto those wait lists. If you are offered a spot off of the wait list, you will receive an email to your American University email that you created as part of creating your portal and following the checklist that was given to you in your acceptance email. Once you've been offered a spot off of the waitlist and you've received that email, you only have 24 hours to log back into your portal and register for that class. It's really, really important that if you're waiting for a spot to be opened for you, or if you're number 1 on the wait list, or even number 2, that you are checking that email every day. If you aren't going to be checking your AU email every day, then please make sure that you are forwarding that to an email that you are checking regularly. So you don't have to use that email solely once you get here. You can forward it, but you really want to make sure you're doing that so that you're getting important emails such as these waitlist ones. And there's information on how to do that in your portal under the MyAU portal and student email required reading. So once you receive the email, you'll log back in and you'll have access to register for the waitlisted class. Every semester, unfortunately, we do have students who miss this 24-hour period. That means that your spot on the waitlist expires and you can get back on the waitlist, but you're going to be put back on at the end of the list of people who are already waiting. And this is just a courtesy that American University has in place so that if a spot's available and someone decides they don't actually want it, it's not just sitting there with them for days and days. It goes on to the next person. So it can be to your benefit because hopefully it might get some people who are under you to be out of the way. But it's just really important to make sure that you're checking that and you're following really diligently if you are waiting for a class that you'd really like to take and you've been placed on the wait list. All right, so now Ashley's going to talk a little bit about what it will look like to put yourself on a wait list and how you'll be able to do that.
Great. So, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that when you're looking at classes that you need to be vigilant about checking is the number of seats that are available in the class. If it says 11, like the first class at the top says, you are in a good place and you can join that class. On the other hand, if it says waitlisted 2, like the class on the bottom says, that means that there are currently no seats available in that class, but you can join the wait list as a way into that class. Just to reiterate what Desiree already said, if a class is full, the wait list is the only way to get into that class. So if you would like to be considered, you need to sign up for the wait list. So when you see a class like this and you've decided that you would like to be on the wait list, what you need to do is, just like in the other class, you need to click Add Section to Schedule, where I have the arrow number 2. When you click that, it is going to give you a notification like the one on the right-hand side of the screen that says this section has a wait list. It says below that there are 0 of 25 seats available and that there are 2 people on the wait list. If you would like to continue and be added to the wait list, continue on by clicking Add Section to Schedule. When you click that, it's going to take you back to your Eagle Service screen. Unfortunately, you are still not on the wait list, and you have to click one more thing to actually be put onto the wait list. And that is, you will see a yellow box up at the top. Like I said earlier, once you have been registered for a course, it will turn green. So as you can see on this screen, the class is still yellow because you are not actually in the class just yet. So you click wait list, and then it will take you to the box on the left-hand side, which says this section has a wait list, and it gives you the option to drop the wait list. If you see this, and also at the very top it does say check mark and that you are waitlisted in this class. Once you get this box, you know that you are on the wait list. If for whatever reason you decide you no longer want to take this class, you can drop the wait list. But if you still want to take the class, just leave it how it is. And like Desiree said, you will receive an email if a spot becomes available. Another way to double check that you are still on a wait list and to check which number you are on the wait list is through your MyAU portal. If you go back into that portal that we started out at this afternoon, there is another link on the academic screen that says My Waitlist. If you click on that, it will take you to a screen that looks like what I have up here at the bottom. And if you'll remember the class that I waitlisted it in the last screen, I went ahead and waitlisted it, and now I'm number 5 on the wait list. So you can see that this means that there are 4 people ahead of me in line, and as each of those people enter the class or decide to drop the wait list, that number will change slowly down to 1. What we usually recommend is that if you are number 1, 2, 3, and possibly even 4, there's a pretty good chance that at this point you can still make it into the class. That means that 4 people who are in the class have to decide not to take the class, which is possible. If you are number 5, 6, 7, or higher, there's a good chance that you will probably not get this course, and we recommend that you start looking for other courses that you might like to take instead. Okay, totally switching topics. I don't see any questions about registration or the wait list, so I will keep going. We wanted to give you a little bit of information about orientation so that you can start to plan for that. Like Sarah mentioned earlier, orientation week is going to be the 5th through the 8th. January 5th is going to be an optional day. We will have activities available to those of you who are on campus. And if you have arrived, we highly recommend that you come and meet with us and participate in the activities. Mandatory orientation will start the next day, which is Wednesday, January 6th. And the last day of orientation will be the 8th, which is also an optional day. So some of the topics that we'll cover during orientation are document collection and immigration check-in. We will have campus tours available for all of you. We know most of you have not been on campus, so we want to make sure and help you get acclimated. We will also have AU IDs, and we'll help you learn about the student services available. During this time, we are also going to talk about employment and visa regulations, which is obviously very important. And finally, we will talk about the American classroom and academic integrity. We know that the university life and some of the classroom expectations might be different at our university than they are at your university, so we want to help you be prepared for those differences. Finally, and very excitingly, on the final day of orientation, we have an activity called Snapshot DC. This is a whole day long activity. It's a scavenger hunt throughout the city where you will compete as teams with a leader from an AU student. And you guys will, go all around DC and complete the activities. And at the end of the day, we'll have a dinner and an award ceremony. We also will continue to have fun events throughout the semester. Our students love to participate in our Special Abroad at AU activities, as well as other activities available to them on campus. So some of the things that we put together for Abroad at AU students are special sporting events on campus. We also have big group activities. We have gone kayaking and canoeing. We do team building. We volunteer together. And in the final picture on the bottom, you can see a picture from our Fall International Gala last year, which several of our students helped to organize. Another opportunity that we'll have for you for the semester is our Abroad at AU Buddy Program. This is a program where we match a current AU student who has traveled abroad through the Study Abroad program, and we match you with them so that they can help you get acquainted with the university. You can ask them questions about housing or DC or just about campus life. So if you're interested in this program, what we will have you do is sign up through your application portal. And as we get closer to the semester, I'll match you with a current student, and then you can reach out to that person before you come to campus so that you are ready to go when you arrive in DC.
All right, thank you, Ashley. That concludes our presentation for the day. So as we're signing off, we just wanted to make sure to repeat our information about contacting us. We are available by email at abroad@au@american.edu, and we ask that you please use this email to contact our office. And also, if you have any questions related to anything on campus, including housing or courses or your bill, things like that, please email us first at this email, abroad@au@american.edu, because different offices on campus may not be as familiar with the program, and they might not know what your needs are as an Abroad at AU student. So usually what happens is they end up forwarding that email back to us. So it's just helpful if from the start you're able to contact us first, and we can make sure that you are routed in the proper direction. There's also several of us that are checking that email. Sarah, myself, and Ashley are all reviewing it, so you're more likely to get a quick answer by contacting us here. Also, please like us on Facebook. Our page is American University Abroad at AU. You can find the link right here, and that's where we're going to be posting events that we're doing throughout the semester. Ashley will put some pictures up from different things, activities that she does with you. And also different things that are going on in DC or around campus, we might share them on that page as well. We are on Instagram at abroad@AU and hashtag abroad@AU, so go ahead and follow us there. And then finally, please friend request Sarah B. Harlow on Facebook if you haven't done that already. We will be adding everyone to the 1516 Abroad@AU group, as we've already talked about a little bit in this presentation, and that's just going to be another way for us to contact you and to make sure you're getting important information throughout the semester. So thank you so much for logging on. As always, feel free to let us know if you have any questions, and we're excited to see you all in the spring. Thanks. That part got cut off, so I figured I would just say it on the last screen.